Okay, first demo is about to start. So here we go. Let me introduce you to Jim. Jim is from Exeter Cookery School with his wonderful wife, Lucy.
Hello.
Lucy's the one behind the scenes who makes everything tick. So without Lucy, it wouldn't happen. Isn't that right, Jim?
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, don't go about it, you know.
Jim is a very talented chef, as I've said. He spent years and years in France, in the Dordogne. 15 years with the Cookery School, correct?
15 years, yeah, moved out there in 2000.
And you restored an old barn?
Old 17th century farm, turned it into a cookery school, as you do.
And it was very weird because they were teaching the French how to cook, which is a bit bizarre, really, isn't it?
They thought so. They definitely thought so.
They thought so, didn't they?
Yeah.
You did a fantastic job, didn't you? So, a few facts before we start, in leaving you to Jim and Lucy. Right, are you ready?
Go for
Mind
it.
if I big you up?
You carry on. You carry on, mate.
Okay. So, Jim was one of the first who did MasterChef as a semi-finalist in the times of Lloyd Grossman.
Does anybody remember Lloyd Grossman?
Do anybody know who Lloyd Grossman is? Yeah, of course you do. Okay, he was then at the White Hart Hotel. He used to work with Rick Stein, Alistair Little, and Tony Tobin of Ready Steady Cook fame. Now he's got a cookery school at Lucy in Exeter. They've had it for about a year. It is a fantastic cookery school. It is going from strength to strength. We're very lucky in the West Country because we do have some great chefs. Before Jim starts, I'm just going to say a big thank you again to Muswell for their sponsorship of the vegetables, being heritage tomatoes, asparagus, and the lovely sugar snap peas. So give him a round of applause. I will leave it all to him and off he goes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hey.
Little one for Lucy.
Thank you.
Welcome this morning to the London Produce Show. Absolute marvellous show. We had a great time last night. It was a canapé reception with cocktails. Some had a few more cocktails than perhaps they should have done, but they're still here this morning, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So one of the courses we do down at Exeter Cookery School. If you don't know where Exeter is, it's way down in the southwestern tip of England, near the toe, which is actually Cornwall.
Go to Bristol and turn left.
Yeah, basically, Bristol and turn left. There you go, there's the directions from Lucy.
You can't lose it.
Wonderful location we got down there in Exeter on the quayside, so it's very boaty, lots of water, lots of lots of yachts down there, and very, very picturesque. So we opened last July, as Peter said. And one of our courses that we do there, in fact one that we started, is a cheese making course. Now I love cheese, a lot of people do, but I've never made it before. And this is the most fascinating course I've ever attended. And
He was like a kid in a
school.
sweet shop. He really was during this whole course.
And we're actually going to make halloumi for you this morning, okay? You might want to say ooh at this point. So we are going to make halloumi for you this morning.
Ooh.
That's good. Oh, I like this audience. They're very good, aren't they? Well trained. While we're making the halloumi, while we're letting it set with various bits and bobs in it, we'll prepare the vegetables, because essentially it's a vegetarian dish we're doing today. Now I'm a carnivore, proud to be a carnivore, but we use really great meat down there in Devon. We've got 2 coastlines as well. It's the only county in the UK with 2 coastlines. So we've got great seafood as well. But I thought today, being the London Produce Show, we'd just make it completely vegetarian. But we brought some stuff up from sunny Devon to cook for you this morning, and then we'll be dishing out samples afterwards. So the first thing we need to get on is our halloumi. Now, what we've got here, can you see it on the monitors there? I don't know if there's a downwards facing monitor. We've got pasteurised full cream milk, which is non-homogenized. Now when they homogenize milk, they force it through tiny, tiny nozzles, which emulsifies the fat into the rest of the liquid in the milk, so calcium, whey, proteins, etc. Now that forcing through the little nozzles makes the fat globules so small that they emulsify into that milk. Now, Lucy and I are both of an age when we remember, perhaps Peter as well, maybe he goes back that far, he looks very young though. We used to have to shake the milk bottle in the morning. Yeah. You take it off the doorstep. If the starlings and the blue tits hadn't got to the cream on top, this is how far back we go, folks. if they hadn't got to the cream on top, you used to have to shake the milk to re-emulsify it before you put it in your tea. So nowadays it's all homogenized. This has to be unhomogenized when you're making cheese. It's all about the yield. So we want a really good yield of cheese from milk. So that yield is going to be a mixture of fat and milk proteins and calciums. So what I've got here is some lovely Devon milk. We brought it all the way out from Devon yesterday. We kept it nice and chilled. So this is beautiful organic milk, and organic's important. We don't want factory produced milk. It's got to come local, and there's some fantastic produce in Devon. And it's got to be pasteurised, because they won't let me do this unless it's pasteurised, of course. But if you can get unpasteurised, if you make it at home, all the better. So unpasteurised milk. Now, what we've got to do here is get our milk up to a very specific temperature. We need it to get up to 38 degrees C. Now that's roughly around body temperature. So when you put your finger in there, you should feel just slightly lukewarm. It shouldn't be hot, definitely, because you'll kill the product that's going in there. Now what we're going to put in there is something called rennet. Hands up those who've used or know what rennet is. Let's have a show of hands. Good, okay, good. So that gives me something to talk about. There's 3 of you know what rennet is. Rennet comes in 2 forms. Now this is vegetarian rennet, because it suits the vegetarian dish. But natural rennet actually comes from the 4th stomach of a calf, a bullock. So the 4th stomach is where it actually converts the milk into proteins.
5 minutes, chef.
Thank you, Lucy. She's a good timekeeper, is Lucy. It's like at home, she keeps coming up to me and say, 5 minutes, chef, 5 minutes, chef. I don't know why she does it, but there you go.
I've got to call him chef or he throws a tantrum.
So we've got, as our milk's coming up to temperature, we put some vegetarian rennet in. Now this is derived from plant material, okay? So it is natural, but it's derived from plant. I don't know how they do that. I don't know the technical aspects. I'm just a cook. But it is a great substitute for natural rennet, which comes from the 4th stomach of a cow or a calf, bullock. We don't need much, but what we do need to do is set our milk. Has anyone ever had junket? Does anyone, hands up, who remembers junket? No one?
Yeah.
Oh, 1, 2, 3. 3 people again. Junket used to be a fantastic dessert that my mum used to make. And she used to take milk, a bit of sugar, nutmeg, grated nutmeg, and rennet. And put a little bit of rennet in there, and she used to pour it into pots and let it set. And it went the texture of a very loose set panna cotta. So before panna cotta became really, really popular, we were using rennet to make junket. Very, very, very British thing. Now my temperature's come up to 37 degrees. We're spot on. I'm just going to let this cool down a little bit, and I'm going to mix up the rennet. Hello, Lucy. You're dying to tell me something. I know.
I am. Yes. You keep fading out, chef.
Yeah, I know. I'll put this a little bit closer. How about that?
Yeah, you're turning your head away. You're not allowed to move your head.
I'm not allowed to move my head.
Keep your head straight.
Even though it's connected to my head, I'm not allowed to move my head. Okay. So keeping my head still, folks. We're going to mix a little bit of water. God, this is really difficult. Like it's not stressful enough up here, folks, you know, without having all these instructions for me and all this time counting down.
Oh, bloody wives, eh?
So what we're going to do with our rennet, we need to make sure our rennet, which is 1 teaspoon of rennet, will set 2 litres of milk. So we need a tiny amount. The easiest way to get it diluted into that milk is to mix it with a little bit of water. So we're just going to use some still bottled water here. It's very important that it's not chlorinated. If there's chlorine in the water, it will kill the rennet, okay? It will kill the action of the rennet. So that's very important. And then we're going to take a little teaspoon of this, just pop that into there, into the water, give it a little stir around. And you can do this at home, folks. You just go to the chemist, buy some rennet, go to wherever you buy your milk from, get organic pasteurised milk, full cream. The more cream, the better. Buy some rennet from the supermarket, from Boots, and off you go. The other thing you've got to make sure is that all your equipment is sterilised, because it's very easy to grow the wrong type of bacteria in cheese, and that will taint it. That will give it the wrong flavour. So we're going to pour our rennet over a teaspoon, and I just want to trickle that into our milk mixture. So we trickle that in there like that, as evenly as possible, and then we go in with a spatula, and very, very gently we waft it around. This isn't about stirring it. We mustn't stir it too much, because what we want is for those proteins to coagulate. Doesn't sound very nice, does it? But we want the proteins in the milk to bind together. Because in a panna cotta, you use gelatin to do the binding, but in cheese, we use rennet. And in fact, you can actually do it with lemon juice as well. So I'm being very, very careful to stop that milk swirling around. Because as soon as it starts swirling, that's setting as we speak, by the way, as it starts swirling, it's breaking itself up. And what we want is big fat curds of our proto halloumi. So that is, I'm just going to put on a nice shelf. We've got a nice clean shelf in this capacious kitchen of ours.
Cheers.
In the meantime, as that sets, and it's going to take about an hour, so clearly I'm going to have one I prepared earlier, and I've done just that for you. So we've got halloumi at every single stage of preparation.
You've got space behind you now, Chef.
Just anywhere, Chef, please. Yep.
10 minutes gone, Chef.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucy. I can't tell you how stressful it is at home with her saying 10 minutes, Chef. 10 minutes, Chef.
I love it.
So we're going to prepare some of these lovely vegetables. Now we've got mudwalls. As you came in there, the mudwall stand is just by the front entrance. Fantastic vegetables up from Gloucestershire way. Not a million miles from where we live in Devon. So, you know, it's nice to shop local, but beautiful vegetables. And I've got here some, you wouldn't believe it, but this is actually purple broccoli. Not broccoli. Does that look like broccoli? No, it's asparagus. So we've got some purple asparagus here, which I've just blanched in some boiling salted water. I realise I'm fading out now, so I'm moving my head too much. Sorry, Chef. Sorry, I'm going to get told off again. So what I've done here is a mixture of vegetables, which I've actually blanched off yesterday. It was a great chef's trick, by the way. You can do this at home. When you're doing your dinner party, you've got all the stress of the dinner party. You know, you're at work on Friday, you've got people coming Friday evening, you do all your shopping on the way back from work, you've got all this cooking to do. You're in a right old panic, your people arrive, they want to be fed. So the thing to do is cook things off ahead of time. So what us chefs do all the time is pre-prep. So I've blanched these off in boiling salted water, along with some fine French beans. I've got some heritage tomatoes, which are raw in actual fact. And underneath the asparagus, I've got some lovely courgettes, which I've just used the melon baller to get out of our courgette. So I'm going to give Lucy a job here, because Lucy's one of the best sous chefs, in fact the best sous chef ever. Let me tell you, she's fantastic.
If unpracticed.
Lucy, what we're going to do here, you've got to keep your head still apparently, okay, so don't, because he'll tell you off. What we're going to do is take a little ball, a melon baller like this, and we're just going to take a little ball out of our melon. Look at that. What a nice little thing that is. Doesn't that look cute? So it's a presentational thing. You don't have to do it. You can just chop it up into cubes, and that's fine. It still works, but it just looks really cute. So that's what we're going to do, Lucy.
I think I can cope with that.
Brilliant. Now the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do some aubergine. So we've got some aubergine here. So Chef, if I can just use some of your space here. So with our aubergine, we're just going to cut it into lovely fat slices, like that. Nice and thick, about as thick as your thumb. And then we're going to cut that into 1 centimetre cubes.
So at the cookery school, do you do this? Do you demonstrate? What do you do? What sort of courses do you do?
At the school we do, we don't demo much. If there's a little technical thing we do, like tempering chocolate, that kind of thing, we'll demo it.
The pasta course is very popular.
Yeah, the pasta course. We make fresh pasta from scratch, so I'll demo that and we'll put it through the machine. But mostly it's down to, yeah, thank you, Chef. Mostly it's all about you guys, you know. It's about the people who come to our cookery school doing it themselves. Because you've got a memory in these hands, you know. Your hands will remember what you do at the cookery school. So it's all hands on. There's no shouting, none of that, no stress, okay?
Only
we make
me.
it very, very relaxed. But yeah, people have a great time down there. And if they're on a one-day course, for instance, like our chocolate course or our meat butchery course, they'll cook their own lunch as well. So we'll sit them down, have a nice little lunch, maybe a glass of wine, something like that. There's nothing too complex, or with knives in the afternoon. And then they get to take home everything at the end of the day. So we've got a whole range of courses down there. They're fantastic courses, ladies and gentlemen. And we've got vacancies coming up. There are space on quite a few of the courses
And
at
it's
the
only
moment.
2.5 hours down the motorway.
So get on a train at Paddington, 2 hours.
Warm welcome as well.
You get Smiling Lucy, and you get me, of course. Apparently I look really grumpy if I'm not constantly smiling, so this is me, happy, okay? So this is the face you'll be greeted with. Right, now, while Lucy's doing a fantastic job of that, I'm going to show you the halloumi milk that's been setting, but isn't yet halloumi.
15 minutes gone, chef.
Thank you, Lucy. So, in this bowl, and I'm being really, really careful here.
Do you want me to show everyone quickly?
Yeah. Now, if we can have an overhead shot here. Oh, there we are. Lovely. So, now I don't know if you can see this,
I'll take it around.
but it's got a very enticing wobble. And Peter, you've got to treat that like a baby, okay? Oh, God, don't do that to me. Okay. So Peter's going to show you the lovely wobbly set on our halloumi milk. Now, in the meantime, I'm just going to turn up some heat. We need some frying pan action going on. And what we're going to do is, with these blanched vegetables, we're just going to put those through a hot pan with a little bit of oil, just to warm them through. Because I've done all the work, okay? I've done that yesterday. So all I've got to do is warm these vegetables through. And because I only blanched them for a matter of, well, seconds in some cases, like for instance, this asparagus is so fresh, so juicy raw, it just takes seconds to blanch. So straight out of the hot water into a tub of cold water like this, like I've got my sugar snap peas in here. So this is cold water. So just take our sugar snaps out of there. How are we doing there, Lucy?
1 minute later.
Oh, 1 minute later. Thank you, Lucy. That's wonderful. Now, what I've also got, Lucy, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to fry up some of these shortly.
Okay, no.
But in our oven here, what I've got is some dehydrated tomato and fennel.
All yours, chef.
Thanks, chef. Well demonstrated. So I've got some dehydrated fennel here and some tomato, and we're just going to put those on the dish. And the tomato gives it an intensity of flavour. They're sweet and very, very, very intense tomatoey flavour. Just a little bit of oil on there, a little bit of salt, into a warm oven, about 80 degrees, 60 degrees. And the same with our fennel. So we slice that very, very finely. But I'm just going to pop that back into the oven. Thank you, chef. Okay, so we're nearly ready to go. So, Lucy, if we can swap over.
Yep.
If you man the frying pans.
Okay.
And what we want to do is just warm up some of our veg. How are we doing on time, Lucy? How long have we got to go?
Got, about 12 minutes left.
Okay, very quick demo. This is a half-hour demos, these, so we don't have long. So I just want to get the pan up to speed. And it's not going to take long to actually warm our veg. So we're not going to go just yet. But Lucy, if you could also just do a few of these heritage tomatoes. I'm just going to turn those down a fraction because this is really powerful induction pans. I'm going to move my very delicate halloumi. I'm going to show you something magical with this shortly. I can't tell you how excited I am about cheese making. This is a new thing for me, and I just find it fascinating. You know, I could watch cheese being made all day long. So
If we didn't have a cookery school to run.
yeah, we do have a small cookery school to run, but you know, you might have to be on your own now. Yes, please, chef. Thank you. Brilliant. So, with our fennel, just going to take the top and bottom off. Going to slice it very, very finely. Have we got a bowl for scraps there, chef, as well? Oh, hang on, I've got a big bin down here. It can all go in there. Now, normally at the cookery school, we save all these and we make stock. Make great fish stock. Fennel and fish, especially things like sea bass on our fish cookery course. Fantastic course, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it good
There
value
are
for money
still
by any
spots
chance?
on the next one coming up, so if you're down in Devon Way, You could do a lot better, a lot worse than booking onto one of our courses. So what we want to do is just shave our fennel into about a 2 or 3 mil slice. That's a little bit chunky, to be honest. But you lay those out on some silicone paper in the oven, and we're at 80 degrees in the oven, and just leave them overnight. Just let them sit there. A little bit of salt on there just to enhance the flavour.
10 minutes to go, Chef.
Thank you, Lucy. So I'm just going to pop those in there for now. Okay, so look at that. Beautiful green heritage tomato. Isn't that pretty? Looks like a Granny Smith apple, doesn't it?
Where
Lovely.
From, Chef?
These are from Mudwalls,
Oh, yeah.
just at the entrance there, Chef.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, a very nice guy actually. Got some beautiful produce over there. What we're going to do with these is just take the skin off, and then we're going to, let's see, well, we could just chop them into very sort of small segments. So I'm just going to cut that in half, and now into a quarter. And a little chefy tip here, if you want to really quickly skin a tomato, what we're going to do is take out the core first. So just hold the stalk end, get your knife in there like that and slide it along. Remove the pulp. Now you can use the pulp in things like tomato consommé, and it makes a nice refreshing savoury drink actually, bit of tomato juice. And then what we can do is take our little leaf of tomato and then just get your knife in there between the skin and the flesh, and just take that flesh off. So you've got to be really careful, mind your fingers. All I can say is don't do this drunk, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So that's removed some of our skin. So if you don't have a pot of boiling water on standby, you just skin a tomato segment like that, and at that, also dry the skin, and it makes a very intense little garnish. And then we're just going to run our knife over here like this, and I think just very, very fine dice like that. That's fine, just like that. Lucy, if you wouldn't mind doing that, sure. But don't bother skinning them, okay?
Okay.
We're going to keep the skins on, most of them.
Are you going to saute the vegetables?
We're going to saute the veg, about 2 minutes. Okay. That should take it. And then a couple of minutes to plate it up.
Fine, no problem.
So we do need to get quite a bit of veg on as well. So, Chef, if I can give you a job, if you could just saute those off, enough for the people sat out here, and enough for me to just plate up. We've got about 8 minutes. So,
8 minutes?
Yeah, we're talking about in a couple of minutes' time. Just get ready. Lovely. Thank you, Chef.
Just a quick one. Did you all enjoy last night? Yeah, was it good? How are you all feeling? Good. Good, yeah. That's all right. Oh, yeah, good, lovely.
So, chefs.
It was a great party, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And the canapes were great, and the hotel has done a fantastic job. And the champagne was nice as well, I have to
That
say.
went down very well, actually.
Very nice.
Right, now, Lucy, just tread on that pedal, will you? Thank you very much. Okay, let's get this out of the way. So I'm going to show you this this halloumi. So we've got our rennet in here with our bottled water. Peter's just shown you that set milk now. So that's been sat at the back there for about.
Sauteed as well?
Yes, please, chef. But yeah, not for long. About a minute and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a sharp knife. And if you can see in the overhead monitor here, can we see that? No, we're not in.
7 minutes,
not in focus.
Chef.
Can I just move
7 minutes,
across here? Thank you, chef.
They're putting you under pressure now.
I know, it's getting
Should be
tight.
used to this. You've
Getting
done the
tight.
old Master Chef and everything.
So look, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is just going to cut through our curds. And for me, this is the most amazing part, because we're cutting cubes of set milk. And it's so delicate. I wish you could see this. And we cut it one way, and we turn the bowl 90 degrees, and we're going to cut it through again. So we're rendering it into sort of bâton, as they say in France, so long cubes, effectively. Now in a big cheese processing place, or even in artisan cheese, they'll put this set milk into a long stainless steel trough, with a rectangular trough, and they'll let it set, and I mean a vast quantity of it, sometimes half the legs of this room. And then they'll get like a grid of sharpened kind of mesh, and they'll sit that at one end and then take it slowly through the bath, cuts it into long bâton, and then they take it across like this, and in 2 passes it cuts the whole lot into little cubes. So we want to replicate that. Yes, Lucy?
Do you want the halloumi warmed?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just keep going like that, Lucy. That's
Doing a good
absolutely
job,
fine.
Luce.
So now I'm just going to cut across the way, across the way. Do you get that? We've got way in here. Yeah. Attempt at humour. So we're just going to cut it across the way like that, and we're going to render it into kind of cube-ish shapes. But we've got to be really careful we don't overwork.
Sure.
Yeah, you can cut those up, Peter, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. So now what we need is some kind of scoop. I'll use this. I'm going to just pass it through a sieve. So we're just going to drop our curds into our sieve here. And look, you've got to see this. I've got to put this down here because this is amazing. Can you, if you want to stand up at the back there, just have a look at this.
So that's how it's done.
See the way that the curds there are separating from the whey? So the whey, which is basically water in the milk, which is separated out. It's full of proteins. Bodybuilders, if you're keeping fit, if you're doing exercise, you want to build a bit of muscle, that whey there is top stuff, full of lovely proteins. So what we're going to do is just going to take a scoop of our whey. Look at that. Can you see that? You see that in the monitor? I don't know if you can. Let's put it over there. Look at that. You can just see those lovely little wobbly curds there. Aren't they beautiful? So I'm going to drop those very gently into our sieve. And this really is like lightly set panna cotta. Now I'm not going to do it all. I'll save the rest for later. But
You don't mind having the ends of the stalks on, do you, of the pea? Good for you.
no, it's looks pretty, chef.
Looks pretty.
Yeah, we like a bit of stalk on the end. That's fine. Okay, let's have a little bit of a tidy up here because we're going to plate up very soon.
I'll do that, Jim. You tidy up.
Thanks, chef.
Yeah, 5 minutes, chef.
Peter Gorton, ladies and gentlemen, Michelin-starred chef, now sous chefing for me. Isn't that brilliant? Oh, I love this job. And doing a fine job with it. Thank you, chef.
So my pleasure.
Peter's very involved in getting young chefs back into the business because we've got a dearth of talent in the trade, you know. We need more people in it.
Stir that for me, Luce.
Yeah.
So chefs like Peter
As in shuffle. Oops.
are great for... There you go, we're all tripping over ourselves here.
No.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, just very briefly, chef. So, I've got a presentation plate. How are we doing for time? Oh, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay. So, I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to put the plate on our lovely purple worktop here. Little chopping board. You can see the contrast then. We're just going to plate it up, bit chefy style. Get the old squirty bottles out. Anyone got these at home? You need to get some of these. About £2.50 each. So useful. You know, and just because it's home cooking, doesn't mean to say you can't cook like a chef, does it? You know, it's all about we eat with our eyes, don't we? So it's, you know, partly about the presentation. So what we're going to do is, oh, that's beautiful. Look at the colours in there. Can you see that, ladies and gentlemen? Look at those lovely colours. Lucy, you are a magician. You really are. I don't know how you do it. So we've got some other bits and bobs to go on as well. We've got some giant couscous. Has anyone cooked with giant couscous before? Lovely stuff, actually. Full of starch and sugars. Good replacement for potato. We've got some fennel and tomato sauce, which we cooked up earlier.
I saw you making that. It was delicious.
Yes, lovely stuff. Basically, fennel, chopped up fennel, tomato, onion, garlic, bit of rosemary, bit of thyme. Whatever you got to hand, really. Cook it all up in the oven with a bit of olive oil. Make it all nice and mushy. Put it through a thank you, chef. Put it through a blender. Thank you, chef. That's brilliant. Now I've got some compressed cucumber. So pressing food at the moment is quite trendy, but it's not the trend I'm interested in, it's the texture. So we put that in a vacuum bag. I make up some cucumber juice, so I put the rest of the cucumber in a juicer and get the cucumber juice, all lovely and green, full of goodness.
Chef, do you want some of that in those?
Yes, please, chef. You could portion some up for me, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, do it out of the back, that's fine. Thank you, chef. So, we put our skinned cucumber into a vac bag with our cucumber juice, a little bit of salt for seasoning, for flavour enhancement, and then vac pack it on full power. So that And in terms of how much atmosphere we're losing, how much suction we got in there, you're talking about 2 Everests worth. So you climb to Everest and then do it again, where not even a plane flies. That's the vacuum we're talking about. So we're just going to cut that into little cubes, and they give it an interesting sort of texture, slightly firmer than ordinary cucumber. We just cut them into little cubes like that. It's almost translucent, really pretty, and they got a good bite. So we're just going to plate that up. So what have we got? Let's start with our fennel and tomato. Just give it a little shake.
Chef, sorry to interrupt. We're dishing up for you. We're putting the veg in there. What
Good
else
work, Chef.
would you like? I want to make sure I do it right.
I just want a little selection of those veg. Yeah, and be quick about it, Chef, okay?
Right.
I just want a little collection of those veg so I can plate up.
Okay.
So a little bowl just
Little
out here.
bowl for you.
That'd be fantastic, thank you. So, just put a little bit of our puree around there. A little bit chefy. I've got some black olive puree in here, so that's black olives with a little bit of brine, whisked up in the blender until it's really fine, put through what we call a tammy, which is a very fine sieve, and then put in a squirty bottle.
Vegetables.
Thanks, Chef, beautiful. Not you, the veg.
Thanks.
And here I've got some wild garlic oil. Now in Devon, in the lanes of Devon, we grow wild garlic. In fact, we don't grow it, it just grows. And you can pick it. As long as you don't dig it up, which is illegal, you can harvest the wild garlic. And we blanch it, we put it in a blender, and we sieve it, and we separate the oil. So there's a little bit of wild garlic oil on the plate there.
30 minutes now, Chef.
Thank you, Chef.
Would you like me to put some of this cucumber on there as well?
That's marvellous, thank you very much, yep.
No problem.
And we got some halloumi somewhere. Lucy knows where the halloumi is. I think it's in the fridge there, Chef, actually. Let's have a look.
Lucy, where have you hidden the halloumi?
So I think I found it. So, that halloumi, which the last time you saw it was a load of sort of wobbly cubes, is now this. Okay, so here is another one I prepared earlier. What this is now is that halloumi which has been drained, set in a block. It sets naturally. You cut that into thick slabs about this thick, and then you drop them back into the whey that was drained from the cheese. And you bring that whey up to about 95 degrees, just on the point of simmering. And you cook the halloumi in that for about 10 to 15 minutes. And just like gnocchi, they rise to the surface. They come up. As soon as they come up, you scoop them off, you put them onto a plate to let them cool down, and they firm up. So this is what we've got. Homemade halloumi, made in Devon about 4 days ago. So, Chef.
Can I take some of that?
By all means, yeah, just dice it up, Chef, please. Yep, that's fine.
Like
I'm going to take a couple of those.
Would you like me to put a bit of that on?
Yeah, all the stuff, all the time. I'll just use some black olive puree.
You're going to taste this in a minute, so we're out the back. We'll get it sorted for you so you can try it. The proof is in the pudding, as they say.
There we go.
In this case, the savoury.
A little bit of that, Chef.
Right, here we go. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want a quick frying pan if I've got one lying around. Yep, here we are. So I'll put that onto maximum on our induction pan. I just want to very quickly fry off our halloumi. So I need a Chef, if we could have another piece of halloumi back here, please, that would be absolutely marvellous. So we're just going to plate up. Thanks, Chef.
It's like being a trainee chef again.
Brilliant. Yeah, yeah. Don't dally, Chef. Come on. Peter Gorton is a fantastic guy. He's very experienced chef. And every time we do these demos, I'm always learning from him, you know. And I think, as a chef, as soon as you think you can do it all, you've lost the plot. Go and get another job, because we're always learning, all the time. So there's a little bit of our veg here, just dotted around the plate. Just let the vegetables shine. We got a bit of herbage here somewhere. I think we had some basil earlier. Lucy, do we have any basil lying around? See, she hears everything. Lucy hears everything. You cannot hide from Lucy, let me tell you. So I'm just going to quickly, very quickly, fry off our halloumi. And I did have some oil. Ah, yeah. So here's our local rapeseed oil. This is made in Devon, grown and made in Devon. Comes from around 20 miles from where we are in Exeter. And it's his cold pressed extra virgin rapeseed oil, which in this instance has been infused with basil, which is a rather nice thing. And remember that bottle, folks, because they're a great company, family firm, produce wonderful oil. So I'm going to crack on now, because otherwise I'm going to get told off. So I'm just going to very quickly put my halloumi in there, hoping it might just fry off a little bit. I've seasoned it already, so once my halloumi is set, I've laid it out on a clean cloth and just seasoned it with a little bit of sea salt. So I'm just warming it through now. So we're going on with a couple of cubes of our compressed cucumber for a little bit of texture. And I think Lucy was here earlier with a bit of basil. Lucy, do we have some basil? Oh, it's behind me, chef. Oh, there it is. Look. It's behind me. So we're just going to go on to a little bit of, I think this is micro basil. So a little bit of this for the flavour. I mean, it also looks pretty, but, you know, and you've got to think about the look of a dish. So just going to flip out our halloumi. Thanks, chef. Look at that. Wow, that looks fantastic. So we are just going to plate up our halloumi, and I'm just going to plate it up with a little bit of large basil leaf, if there is some. We've got to crack on here. So a little bit of fresh basil between our halloumi, and look, you can see the texture. It's gone nice and soft. This is a million miles away from that stuff you buy in the supermarket. A million miles.
Do you want some of this on or not?
Yes, please, chef. Yeah, a little bit of our giant couscous. So I've got another bit of basil leaf. You can see we're going like the clappers here. When you do your dinner parties at home, you know, you want to crack on. You want to get nice and quick.
5 minutes over, chef.
Yeah,
We have some
thank you.
wonderful demos today, just to let you know.
A little bit of our...
Nathan Eads is here, Michelin-starred chef from Simpson's restaurant in Birmingham. Superb food.
We've got some wild garlic oil, please, Lucy.
Michelin-starred
Probably out the back now.
chef in all his glory today. There you go.
So, thank you, chef. Brilliant job.
Wild garlic.
Lovely. And a little touch of wild garlic oil just to drizzle on top like this. Just to bring it off. We're done this, chef. We're done.
Happy?
Well, I am ecstatic.
How about a big round of
Absolutely.
applause,
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Well done.
Lucy. Hey.
Without which he cannot function.
Yes, yes.
But he
Good,
cooks
she
like
keeps
a-
saying.
Best way to do this, come on up, grab one and try it. It's probably the easiest way to do it. Come and try one. There's a fork there for you. Have a taste. Nice, fresh vegetables. Delicious halloumi. You've got a
There we go,
little
ladies and
bit of
gentlemen.
tapenade there. And you've got a little bit of the basil oil as well. An absolutely fantastic dish. Thank you so much, Jim and Lucy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank
we
you,
wish
Peter.
you all the best for the cookery school.
Thank
but
you.
you don't need luck because you're really good.
It's hard work, but it's
Have a
good
chat.
fun.
Fire away.
And just a thank you to the Chefs Forum as well for
Oh,
yes,
absolutely,
been
yeah.
absolutely
Thank you to the
brilliant.
Chefs Forum for making things happen.
Yes.
Being on top of it, getting these great chefs here today. Thank you to the Chefs
Came,
Forum as well.
hello.
Very good.